I'm Dana Holgorsen. When disaster strikes your home or business, tell your insurance provider you prefer the restoration company the Mountaineers call. Panhandle Cleaning and Restoration. Okay, first time in 6 years, this is a little more challenging week with Baylor based on my experiences with what I have known Baylor to be and what they currently are. So, you know, there's a lot more unknowns than there has been. So, you know, where we're going, how we're traveling, where we're staying, what the stadium's like, all that stuff we get. But from a coaching perspective, program perspective, it's a little different situation. So going to have to do a good job with our guys this week of making them aware of all that, you know, what the new schemes are, coaches. I don't have a whole lot of familiarity with any of their coaches. There's nothing in the past that I can pull from, which is odd in the Big 12. I mean, usually everybody you play in the Big 12, you got a whole lot of knowledge from the past on that you can pull from. This is different, so we got to do a good job as a coaching staff of researching, you know, who these guys are and researching what their philosophies are. Luckily, we got 6 games to be able to pull from, and obviously we'll do that. Offensively, the one thing we do understand is some of their players. You know, I mean, there's a lot of the same guys have lined up for these guys. We all know they've been recruiting pretty well, you know, over the last several years. So familiar with their quarterback. You know, made that switch. I don't know, game 3 or 4, somewhere in there. But Zach Smith's a good football player. You know, tough kid. Was out here last year, and we hit him a lot, and he kept getting up and kept playing and gave them a chance to win. He's throwing the ball well. He's big. He's a good player. Still deep at running back and receiver. You know, the new kid that they got, the Lovett kid, freshman from up here in Jersey, is a really good football player. They're giving it to him a good bit, more than any of them want to give it to number 22, Williams. We know all about him, played against him for the last couple of years. He was hurt for the first 3 games, I believe, but looks to be getting back into a rhythm. He was one of the best backs in the Big 12 as far as I'm concerned. So, you know, having a couple of them is always something that we're going to have to deal with in the Big 12, and those guys are as good as any of them. At receiver, they still got guys that you look at and they look like the ones that's been there for the last 5 years. Long, can run fast. You know, I know 14 was out, got hurt against OU. Don't know what his status is, but and 15 Mims is the guy that's got all the numbers right now. So, you know, I've heard this stat from Tony and a couple other people here this week. They've got 5 or 6 60-yard deals. So not surprising, because you recruit the speed that they recruited around there for so long, then you're going to have guys that can stretch the field. So getting in a rhythm up front as well. Got some new guys sprinkled in there, so it's no different than us. When you sprinkle in some new guys, it takes some time from you know, from the camaraderie point of view to be able to understand what your guy next to you is doing. So I see them getting better up front as well. They pose some challenges. You know, they get into a lot of different formations. They want to run the ball, but in some of these games they've got behind, they've had to probably throw it a little bit more than they wanted to. So we're going to have to get a good feel for what their plan is going to be. I would imagine that they'll try to run the ball against us like the last couple of teams have done. And like I said after the game, we got to do a better job of stopping the run. That's what our mentality's been here for the last 4 years, and it needs to continue to head that direction. Baylor defensively, Coach Rule's a defensive guy. He got Temple to a point where they were leading the country in defense. So, you know, he's playing a lot of different guys. You kind of know what their philosophy is. They're a 4-down team that, you know, wants to pressure you hard up front. Their backers are extremely aggressive. They're led by number 1, the Taylor Young guy that's seems like he's been there for 8 years. You know, kind of an undersized guy that is one of the better linebackers in the country. Really does a good job. Like I said, he's nothing new to us. We've been going against him for the last 4 years. He's a heck of a football player. He makes him go, you know. But you know, defensively, they're giving up some plays because they're playing a lot of people. You know, whether one guy's, you know, out with an injury or whatever forces them not to play all their guys, I don't know. But playing a lot of different people, and they're going to continue to get better. Kicking game, hurt their kicker. He's got a lower leg injury. Second week in a row we've had some uncertainty as far as what's going to happen with their kicking situation. Field goal kicker is really good. The Connor Martin kid, he's almost perfect on the year. But they've had to change punters, and they've had a couple of different kickoff guys. So we're going to have to sort through that. But, you know, I sit up here every week, and I talk about punt return and kick return. They got guys that scare you. You know, 13, the Nicholson kid, he leads the league in punt returns. And they got a variety of guys they put back there on kickoff returns as well. So it's gonna be a challenge for us. I'm looking forward to flying to Fort Worth and spending the night in Fort Worth. I don't mind a night game at all. I know everybody here wishes we would have a night game. There's nothing we can do about any of that. Hopefully we keep winning our noon games, which we've been solid on that. But need to do better at night. We're 0-1 at night, so let's change that. You know, we're 0-2 in Waco, so that's a lot of motivation to be able to change that. Don't care what their record is. Anytime you have everything that's just so new, there's going to be an awful lot of improvement. So we got to be prepared for you know, a wild homecoming atmosphere night game. Last time they played there at night, they should have beat Oklahoma. That'll grab your attention. What they've done to us the last 2 times there will grab your attention. The respect that we got for Coach Rule and his staff with what he did at Temple, which we're pretty familiar with that based on geography. You know, we got to understand that they're going to continue to get better and better and better. And they compete hard. They play hard. They compete hard. So I'm looking forward to the game. Looking forward to us really focusing on us and you know, trying to get better at what we're asking our guys to do, coaches and players. Questions?
Danny, you talked a lot about momentum this past Saturday. Momentum just an in-game thing, or can it carry from week to week?
I think it can carry from week to week. There's a confidence that tends to exist when stuff like that happens. You know, it's awful hard for that to happen throughout the course of a whole game against a good team that's playing well. Tech was playing well. They're improved. You go in and you turn the video on, and sometimes you look at, you know, yourself or the opponent, and you're like, it doesn't look very good. You know, I can't say that we looked bad. I can say that they looked good. I thought they played really well. It's hard to do that for a whole game, and just like for them as well as they played for 3 quarters, it's hard to do it for a whole game. So that, you know, the momentum got going in the 4th quarter, and couldn't be prouder of how our guys took that and just excelled on everything in the 4th quarter. Complete domination. Caught breaks, expected good things to happen, executed very well, played with great effort, had a lot of confidence. I would hope that would carry over, and I think that's going to give us confidence moving forward.
You've been up in your career with depth issues. As a coach, how can you protect your team when you have a lack of depth, and what is Baylor going through that they have to kind of protect?
It doesn't look to me like they got lack of depth. It looks to me like they got a lot of depth. Well, I mean, they're still dressing 70, and I mean, I don't know what their numbers are that they're playing, but they're playing a lot of people. I mean, they're playing more people than we're playing. Now, I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I mean, that sometimes is a good thing. I think our depth is decent, but offense, defense, our depth isn't what it needs to be. Our backups still haven't shown that they can go in there and play at a very high level. Now, with that said, that really helps special teams efforts, and I think our special teams are doing a good job with the number of bodies that we're playing. We're able to play a lot of guys. It makes it really challenging to practice when you don't have the depth that you want. Like I said, I don't know what their numbers are. We're sitting here at 120 something, so our practice depth is really good. We got 2 deep on our scout teams that go out there and we can roll in a lot. So that's really helping the way we practice. You know, what their situation is, I don't know. It's not for me to know.
Does it impact your game strategy?
I don't think it impacts the game strategy. It impacts how prepared you are to play. You know, and you know, all through camp and spring and how you prepare. I've never been happier with the way we prepare for games because we have so many guys that can go out there and give us the looks that we need. If you don't have that depth, then you can't. Then it hurts you special teams more than anything, and it hurts you the way you practice and prepare for a game.
Dana, off the hoof, it looks like health-wise you're in pretty good shape. Is that, I mean, we're halfway through the season, right?
Yeah, couldn't be happier with where we're at when it comes to that.
You mentioned some of the unknowns. Can you compare them to any other Big 12 team in terms of offense, defense, what they're trying to run?
I don't know. They do different things than the rest of them. There's similarities with what everybody does. It's a very vague question. We can talk scheme if you want. I mean, they do a lot of things on offense. I mean, they can look like a spread team, or they can use tight ends and fullbacks and look like a power team. I know Coach Rule likes to run the ball and is going to use tight ends and fullbacks and all that, but then they can flip the switch and they can go 4 wide and throw it all over the place. You know, defensively, they, like everybody else, play a 4 down front. They've got a lot of bodies. They rotate in there. They mix things up in the secondary, and then they can switch it and go 3 down front on you in a hurry. So there's similarities with everybody when it comes to scheme. There's only 11 people out there.
He said that he built a dominant defense at Temple. What does he do defensively? What does he like to do defensively? And what he does, will that work in the Big 12? Temple in the Big 12 a little different.
And again, I think what he's doing is still, it's a work in progress. I think he'd probably be the first one to tell you that. I didn't go back and study much Temple stuff just because I knew we were going to have 6 games to be able to go on. You know, just I mean, 4 down. I mean, there's so much 3 down in this league. You know, that the 4 down aspect of it is a little different from what we practice every day, from what Texas Tech gave us, from what Oklahoma does. I mean, it's more of a 4 down deal, which is what Kansas State, Oklahoma State does so much. So, you know, scheme is one thing, and you know, to me, it's good coaches or who teaches really good technique. That to me is always whether you're a good coach or not is whether you can teach technique. I mean, the assignment aspect of what the schemes are, there's a lot of good creative coaches out there that can come up with a lot of you know, good fun stuff, which, you know, we've done that around here for a long time. But can you get your guys to play with great technique, and like Gary does at TCU defensively? We talked about that last week. What they did wasn't really that tricky. You know, being able to sustain blocks or all that, that's what makes it pretty tough. So I think he's probably pretty good at that.
Yeah, I'm kind of asking, does the coach have to adapt to the league, or does the league have to adapt to the coach if he brings a successful something?
That's a good question. I mean, this league's probably been known for coaches adapting to the league more than the league adapting to coaches. If you just look at who's been hired, you know, and what everybody does offensively. I mean, geez, Kansas State's spreading it around, throwing it some, you know. So I don't know. Time will tell on that. You know, like I said, I think you know what makes a good coach. I think there's where I used to think it was how many good creative plays you can draw up. I don't really think that too much anymore. I mean, that's Jake's job, and he's doing a good job of it. That's Gibby's job. He's doing a good job of it. But you know, for head coaches, it's probably a little bit more the whole body of work and how hard you guys play and what the basic fundamentals are.
How important is a good running game when you're playing on the road?
It's critical. It's not any more important than at home, but it's critical. We need to run the ball better. You know, I mentioned that after the game. Told the team that Sunday, and we've addressed it, and we're going to work hard on it. You know, you got to have the mentality that we're going to run the ball, which I didn't see last week. Saw it in the fourth quarter. That was good. I think we're capable of it. We've done it before this year. So need to be able to run the ball, and that's a team mentality that, like I said, we've worked hard over the last 4 years to get our team to understand that running the ball is important. Stopping the run is important. You can't just say that. That's you got to have that, and we've had it. That's why we've won a lot of games the last few years. It doesn't need to go away. It went away last week, exception of the fourth quarter.
ID, why? Because you'd run the ball really well the first 5 games for the most part.
Like I said, I think it's a combination of mentality and them being in a good spot. I mean, their mentality was in a really good spot as a team. You know, and I don't think our mentality was just awful, but their mentality was really good as a team. And I think where you can really pinpoint that and see that is how you're running it and how you're stopping the run. And they were much better at that for 3 quarters. You know, we were much better at it for 1 quarter. It's one thing that affects the game. You know, like what did we do really well last week? Well, we finished really well. Finished really well in the fourth quarter. Finished drives pretty good, offensively and defensively. Finished blocks and tackles pretty good. So there's other things that go into it other than just having the appropriate mentality of running the ball. It's just that I think ours needs to be better.
Is along those lines, is part of it, in the past they had to account for your quarterback running almost like a running back sometimes. That's obviously not what you want to have happen now. Has that been an adjustment?
Yeah, I mean, we're a different offense. I mean, I think another thing I think good coaches do is they take what they got and they can adapt to it. You know, Will's doing some unbelievable things in the pass game, and he's pretty good in the run game too. But I'm not going to turn him loose like I turned Skyler loose. You know, Skyler was really good in the run game. We talked about this a lot. What makes him a good quarterback that won a lot of games as our starting quarterback is his understanding of the run game, and not only having to make them account for him, but also the checks and all that good stuff. We're a different team on offense, but that still doesn't excuse the fact that our mentality wasn't where it needs to be in order to be able to run the ball better.
A lot of defenses have loaded the box on you through the first 6 games. The way you guys are throwing, does that surprise you that people still do that?
Yeah, everybody wants to take away something. I mean, you got to, you know, that's every defensive coordinator's mentality is, you know, whether you say we're going to make them run it to beat us or we're going to make them throw it to beat us, you kind of try to make them be one-dimensional. It's what everybody tries to do, you know, and whether they can do that or not, I don't know. To answer the question?
So,
Kind of like that. Let's talk about something else. I'm tired of talking about that. We got to improve it. It's not just bad because we do have the Big 12 leading rusher or close to it. I mean, we've done some good things. I'm just talking about a mentality that needs to exist and moving forward if we want to continue to win games.
Coach, it's easy for people outside of the program to see what Baylor's record is, see what you got coming up the week after, and just, kind of overlook and so on and so forth. Is that inside the program, is that a battle at all that you have to fight as a
I think, yeah, it is. The fact that we're in a conference that for 9 straight weeks and hopefully 10, that you better play really good or you're going to get beat. Just look at the league. Look at the records. That makes it hard. Yeah, I don't care if you're playing a 1-1 Tech team or a 0-3 Baylor team in conference. I mean, I don't view it any differently. You can say, well, it's easier to get up for, it's easier for us to get up against against TCU than it was Tech. I mean, there's a lot of just the human element to it makes it hard. This game's going to be hard. They're all hard. And you can say, well, they're 0-6, so that doesn't make it any harder. But the fact that you turn on the video and you watch these guys fight tooth and nail every time they play, I mean, that makes it hard. There's some unknowns that makes it hard. Playing on the road is hard. We haven't won there. They came within 1 point of beating us last year out here when we had won 9 games. They got good players. Facility is unbelievable. I mean, they got a lot of positives going on too, so every game's hard. I don't even know who we play next week. Y'all don't need to tell me either, because I really don't care.
The AP just came out with its mid-season All-American team. David Sills is one of the 2 receivers. James Washington of Oklahoma State's the other. Baker Mayfield's the quarterback first team, and Mason Rudolph's the quarterback of the second team. What's that say overall as far as the Big 12?
I'd say it's pretty good quarterback play. If the one that we got's not being mentioned, then it's not surprising. Oklahoma State are both playing pretty good, and they have good quarterback play. TCU's got good quarterback play. You turn on the video from what James Washington did to Baylor, and it looks pretty good. He looks just like Justin Blackman, but he could have had like 400 yards. So they had a day offensively that I had some pretty good days in Stillwater, and this one blew it way out the water. He's a good player, and David's doing a great job. It's a great story, and a lot of people are taking notice of it. Proud of him. He's got a long ways to go. We got a long ways to go offensively to continue to improve. Says a lot of good things about the Big 12.
Dan, you said that
It's a hard league.
Sometimes thinks he's the baddest dude, I think, right? How does that look? Because he seems quiet. Is he talking trash?
He just loves football. He ain't scared of anything. He loves the game. Things are slow for him. He's a starting quarterback with a starting quarterback mentality at a receiver's position. So he sees things, and he's a hard worker. He's going to keep getting better and better, which is kind of scary. And I think that mid-season All-American list, for what it's worth, has everything to do with the number of touchdowns. I could critique his play a little bit if we need to. He got a lot to work on. He knows it, and the relationship and timing that exists with him and Will is fun to watch. Hopefully they can keep scoring touchdowns. We're going to need them. You need to score points in this league.